It was me, Barry. I painted the Rebirth Superman's boots. I canceled all the Batman Year 2 pre-orders. And then I made the arms defective. But it gets even worse than that. I'm the one that suggested all the side-eye. No! Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, poseability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a special look at the sinister speedster, Barry Allen's arch nemesis, Reverse Flash. Starting off the packaging, and it's a typical DC Multiverse box. Front, side, bottom, UPC, and back. Pretty cool product shot, and I do enjoy the running pose. For packaging, I'm giving the Reverse Flash 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Reverse Flash stands at 7 inches on the dot. He's pretty much just a palette swap version of the Flash that we already got, with a couple of notable changes. The face sculpt, for example, is new, although the mask is pretty much the same. Absolutely digging the lightning bolts, and there's some shading in the eyes that make them look like they're actually glowing. I'm also really impressed with the paint job on the teeth. It sounds like a silly thing, but with action figures, they usually end up looking like one giant white blob, and with this, you can definitely appreciate the definition. Obviously, the Flash logo has been reversed. Otherwise, it's a simple body that's been accentuated with lots of different lines and piping. Another difference from Barry is the more villainous monologue hand. You'll also note that there are some peg holes around his body. These are to accommodate the Speed Force effects, but more on that during playability. A lot of people have a problem with repaints, but in this case, it makes complete sense. There's also just enough new parts so that he really stands out. For presentation, I'm giving the Reverse Flash 1 whole point. Moving on to poseability, and Reverse Flash's head is on a dumbbell joint. Little bit up, really good down, pretty decent tilt, and all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raised up 90 degrees, forward and back with a rotator cuff, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows, and McFarlane wrist balls that swivel and hinge. Diaphragm joint lets him do the hula hoop, and a barbell in the waist. Using both together, he can arch back that far, which is really impressive, and hunch over this far. He also gets a really great amount of tilt. Below the waist, he has McFarlane hips. They kick out this far, swivel, and split. Moving on down, he has double jointed knees, toe-ticulation, and McFarlane ankle balls that swivel, hinge, and pivot. More than enough articulation to leave Barry in the dust. For poseability, I'm giving the Reverse Flash 1 whole point. Before we continue, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I put a lot of love in these videos, and your likes help more people to see them. Moving on to playability, and Reverse Flash comes with a trading card and figure stand. If you want to read what it says, pause here. He also comes with a handful of delicious-looking, candy-like Speed Force effects. The small ones plug into his arms, the bigger ones plug into his boots, the really big one plugs into his back and is adjustable, and then this one plugs into his heel and has its own peg hole for the figure stand. Putting them all together, and there you go. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others, and truth time. I actually don't have the DC Multiverse Flash to compare him to. I don't mind all the extra seams and piping on the Reverse Flash, but on Barry it just didn't appeal to me. The main Flash for my collection is the DC Essentials, and if you saw my video on my top 10 action figure white whales, you'd know that the main reason I wanted this figure was because I couldn't get the DC Essentials one. Putting them side by side, I'm completely happy with this. Are there differences? Sure, but they are two different men. But if you really want to know what this one looks like compared to the regular Flash, just try to imagine this one, but, you know, reverse. For one DC Multiverse Flash figure I do have, however, here he is with Ezra Miller from the Snyder Cut. But for an overall Flash comparison, here he is with Superpowers by Kenner, DC Comics Superhero by Toy Biz, Total Justice by Kenner, and DC Universe Classics by Mattel. For a Flash villain comparison, here he is with Grodd from Injustice 2, but for some general DC villains, here he is with Lex Luthor, Bizarro, Superboy Prime. You can tell he's Prime, by the way, because he has free 2-day shipping. Ugh. Deathstroke from Arkham Origins. For a Joker comparison, here he is with Rebirth and the Three Jokers clown. For a Batman comparison, here he is with Flashpoint, because, well, that makes sense. For a Superman comparison, here he is with Action Comics 1000. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pete the Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And, of course, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. It was me, Tony. I made your plastic defective. Whether you want him for your Flash shelf or as the latest member of the Legion of Doom, this Reverse Flash is a welcomed addition. Throw in some pretty cool Speed Force effects, and for playability, I'm giving the Reverse Flash 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Reverse Flash retails for $19.99, but I got mine online for just a little bit more, considering that the DC Essentials version goes up to $200 on the aftermarket and doesn't include these really cool effects. Which is the better deal? It was me. For price, I'm giving the Reverse Flash 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. For a look at the Snyder Cut Flash, click here, or check out my video on the new Robert Pattinson Batman. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.